I don't like Vega. I don't. Who would want to just? No one wants to play against Claw. As an Alex player, I don't know if that changes anything, but I don't like it. I've been actively avoiding that character since launch. I haven't labbed him once. I've been avoiding watching matches with that character inside of it. I'm not saying there's a correlation here, but my win rate against Vega it's very low. I lose most of the time. So unfortunately, if I want to keep improving, looks like I gotta learn the matchup. And in my opinion, the easiest first step is to find a player that plays your character much better than you do, and then watch them playing that matchup. So the match that I've chosen to watch is ProblemX versus BoltStrike. Both very well-known UK players, ProblemX with Alex and Bison, and BoltStrike with Vega. Now, before we actually watch this video, there are a couple points that I want to mention as main things to keep in mind as we watch the video. Those things being spacing, offense, and defense. That said, I'm gonna probably put these two on the back burner. I'm probably not gonna think about these two that much. Mainly because, in my opinion, spacing is like 80% of the matchup. And the reason I say that is because that spacing that you're always vying for with your opponent is what dictates the pacing of the match and what actually leads into you doing damage and ending the game. And with spacing in mind, one of the first things that you have to keep in mind is what are the ideal distances. For Alex, it's pretty simple. I want to be at this crushing medium punch range. Hello from editing. Turns out I was rambling here quite a bit. The point I was trying to make is that this ideal distance, Alex's crouch medium punch becomes quite abusable. Like attacks fast enough to beat it tend not to reach far enough to hit and whiff, and attacks that can reach Alex tend to be slower, so they get beat out by crouch medium punch quite often. For Vega, I'm gonna guess standing MP, just because that fucking this claw move, I hate. It's the worst. It's the worst. So let's actually start watching the video, knowing that with Alex, he wants to stand at a range where Vega is about this far away from Alex. That is kind of his ideal distance in the generic sense. I'm just watching right now. First, like, I don't know, like 15, 20, 30 seconds. Alright, so I'm already picking up something interesting where ProblemX is not really trying to get into that range. And frankly, frankly, he's barely throwing crouching medium punch. Let's actually count this. And conversely, Vega has thrown a shitload of fucking this shit. I hate that move so much. So let's actually see how many times he does a standing medium punch. The BoltStrike, first 20 seconds, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's done 8 in the first 20 seconds. How many crouch medium punches does Prom get in the first 20 seconds? Or go for in the first 20 seconds? Sending heavy kick. So that's first one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. He goes for 4. Legit half the amount. This might not seem like much, but this already tells us quite a bit about the spacing that Alex probably wants to be at. In general, Alex tries to push it so that he gets into this range-ish against their opponent so he can start applying that crouching medium punch pressure. But Prom is actually standing, from what it looks like, at the edge of Vega's standing medium punch range, or just outside of it. And he's kind of counter poking and fishing with heavies. And this probably means, I think there's probably something here. So what I'm gleaning so far is, like I said, Alex wants to be around distances, but at this range, I believe Alex is already inside the standing medium punch range of Vega. So I'm willing to bet at this range, where this is just outside crouching medium punch range, Vega's standing medium punch it reaches. So therein lies one of the first things I should keep in mind. My ideal distance is shorter than Vega's ideal general poking distance. Meaning anytime that I'm trying to walk in and I'm at a range where my poke is going to land, I've been in Vega's range, right? And also, Vega has a very good walk speed. So like by the time I'm coming in, he could have also just kind of walked slightly out and made it so I'm in his range, but he's not in mine anymore. So with those factors in mind, all of a sudden trying to push for my ideal spacing gets very hard. So what did Problem do instead? He played kind of outside of the standing medium punch range so far, and he's a couple of times he just still do crouching medium punch, but it's at a range where it's not going to hit. He's just counter poking. He's trying to time it or throw it out such that if Vega happened to have thrown out the standing medium punch, it's going to counter hit it or trade or something. And with the ideals with the heavy, what I'm thinking is he's fishing with it because at this range, so maybe it's not specifically standing medium punch range of Vega, just being just outside of standing medium punch range, but just being at the edge of standing heavy kick range. And because of the priority system in Street Fighter V, if I happen to be throwing out a heavy like that, and they clash, I'm gonna win out because of the priority. So getting at the outside range where I'm safe from Vega's ideal, poking distance, I can start throwing out heavies, and then, maybe I'll get lucky, maybe I'll be able to convert off of it. Something to note before we start watching, that idea of ideal spacings, and each character having kind of like their ideal spacing, the character with the longer distance, unless they have like exceptionally slow walk speed, tends to have the immediate first advantage. And the person with the shorter one will need to come up with a new starting plan and a new spacing to actually work from, instead of trying to approach with that smaller distance. Yeah, like I said, this round, nothing special, nothing too obvious right now so far, besides the exceptional lack of crouching medium punches that have been happening. Problem's been going for a lot of kind of like long range pokes, right? So he's trying to not trying to get into that kind of like mid-range against Vega, where Vega has that strong standing medium punch advantage. V-trigger stuff, whatever. Once again, long poke. Maintaining distance. Slowly walking in. Okay, another long poke with the slash elbow. Unfortunate there. He might have done a slash elbow or a standing heavy punch, or standing heavy kick, and he got countered of it. This is gonna kill, and it kills. But yeah, so far it's just kind of stay at that further range and then kind of counter poke and go for long pokes. And let's actually write this down in terms of long poke. He's going for long pokes. And what I mean by going for long pokes, and this kind of general idea of long pokes, is just longer buttons, obviously. Going for counter pokes with shorter buttons, right? At further range. And we saw that a couple of times where he's doing crouching medium punch, not specifically in crouching medium punch range, but in anticipation that it might hit Vega out of something he's already doing. I would classify, at least in terms of this kind of like context, jumping in is something I might consider a long poke. It's some sort of commitment, high risk, high reward poke. I don't know if that's a good way to call it, but for the context of this conversation, I'm going with long poke. Jumping in, the slash elbow. All right, he's using the safe, kind of the Alex's version of the rush punch. But yeah, going for long pokes and standing at, trying to adhere to Alex's standing heavy kick range. Let's see if it changes. Oh, EX stomp. Holy crap. How do we forget that? Stomps, baby. -2 or +2 every day. Times. Good time. Alright, long poke. Standing slightly outside. Once again, he's just kind of fishing with the heavies. And something to note is ProblemX is good. He hit you with a standing heavy punch, he probably has back charge. He's going to convert into a long slash elbow. Big damage. It's going to be sick. And he's going to land this at least once. I guarantee you. I've never not seen him land it. Start with heavies. Long poke. Backing off. Oh, there it is. That's exactly what I was saying. And then this is just kind of Larry Alex shit. You know what I'm saying? And there you go. A very Alex round. Long poke, and then maybe with ProblemX adhering to that long range and being so consistent with those longer pokes and staying further away, Maybe BoltStrike was getting a little bit hasty, a little bit annoyed, and did that jump in. Perhaps, maybe. Yeah, nothing's really changed so far. Long poke. Spacing wise, he's still he's continually maintaining that space. Trying to be outside, going for long pokes. So okay, so that's interesting. Okay, so here's a thought. Maybe BoltStrike has realized that ProblemX has started, ProblemX is staying at that range and tend to go for counter pokes, right, with crouching medium punch and also a lot of heavy punches. So maybe BoltStrike's answer is to do jump-ins at that range, right, just like he did here, in hopes that it might catch him. It might catch Alex doing a standing heavy punch or like a standing heavy kick, at which point BoltStrike's going to get mad damage off of it. Unfortunately, Prom was doing crouching medium punch there and it recovered in time and get a sick anti-air conversion. Okay, so that was like 10 seconds of just patience. Maintaining that range, trying not to get into range where Vega can start anything. How did this even start actually? Hold on. Was that a jump in? Oh yeah, it was a jump in. Okay, well actually, okay, you know what? What I said earlier about BoltStrike's strategy with the jumps, maybe this is exactly what I was saying. And maybe that is exactly what it is. That jump in worked because ProblemX was counter poking with standing heavy punch, and basically the jump whiff punished it. Very patient. ProblemX is just playing super patient and playing at that range. And so far, BoltStrike hasn't had too many answers against that, besides those jumps. Nice backdash. That was just a good read. That's just it. That's just it. So, I mean, it doesn't feel like much because all I figured out was the spacing and then the whys to that spacing and some interactions that result from that spacing. But, you know, now I know at least where to start standing against Vega, so that's a solid start. Well, two things to note that I want to just make sure to say is I probably missed a bunch of stuff in that match because I was just hard focusing on spacing. And even with spacing, there's probably some decisions that are made that doesn't really align with what I was saying, or there's some stuff that I missed. But you know, that's okay. I at least got some information, got some nuggets of knowledge that I can start off with and have actions that I can start employing. And then a second thing that I take to heart is when you're analyzing these videos for matchup knowledge, I am a firm believer that you should just kind of assume that both players are doing everything as intended. As in every decision, everything that they do has a reason behind it. And they've thought it through, and that's why they did it. Now, to be realistic, a lot of it just might be, you know, they're not really thinking. Some of it might be like actively thought out decisions. A lot of it might just be kind of playing by feel and see how things go. But by making the assumption, at least for this kind of like knowledge gathering session, by making the assumption that everything has a reason, it allows you to kind of put your brain into headspace where you can start gleaning information as to like, hey, this worked. Why did it work? By just assuming that there's a reason for everything, it's kind of a little bit more easier to start pointing those things out. But I'll definitely be doing more of these as needed, personally speaking, because I have a lot of matchups I'm not comfortable with. But yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye. And of course, if you liked this video or found it useful in any way, like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Thank you.